everybody, my name is Grace Clanton and I'm a student at the University of Utah. Today I'm going to be doing an activity with you guys about how to write a narrative. So before we get into the activity, let's make sure we have all the things we need for this activity. We're going to need 3 pieces of paper, 1 pen or pencil, and some crayons, markers, colored pencils, really anything you can color with. So before we do the activity, let's discuss what exactly a narrative is. Well, I like to think of a narrative like a story or a series of events. This is going to include characters, settings, events. To help us learn a little bit more about narratives, I created this awesome video for you guys that we're going to watch right now.
So what exactly are the elements of a story? Well, a story has 3 main elements: characters, settings, and events. So what is a character? Well, a character is a person, animal, object, or creature that speaks and carries out actions in a story. Characters are always going to have value to our story. One important thing to remember about characters is that they are who the story is about. So, what is a setting? Well, the setting is where a story is going to take place. This can be anywhere, like a beach, the supermarket, a home. A story isn't limited to one setting either. It in fact can have more than one setting. And what exactly is an event? Well, an event is something that happens in a story. This could be something like a superhero or a villain picks up a car and it scares people. That would be classified as an event. Let's take a couple seconds to review and summarize what we have learned today. Today we learned that characters are who the story is about. We learned that setting is where the story takes place. And finally, we learned that events are things that happen in a story. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned a lot about the elements of a story.
Alright, now that we know what a narrative is and what the elements are that go into a narrative, let's write our own. So for our narrative, I'm going to give you guys a prompt. So the prompt for our narrative is, what would you do if you suddenly sprouted wings? So I want you guys to write a story about what you would do if you sprouted wings today. So remember, a narrative is a story, so it can be about anything you want. Before I show you guys my example, let's start brainstorming our own stories. So I want you guys to pull out one of your pieces of paper and a pen or pencil to write with.
Alright, so in order to start brainstorming, I want you guys to first draw 3 big circles on your piece of paper. Alright, now that we've got our 3 big circles, I want you guys to write characters in the first one, settings in the next one, and events in your last circle. I accidentally wrote elements here, but please make sure yours says events. Alright, in order to start brainstorming, let's think about what we're going to be putting in our story. So for my characters, I'm going to be putting myself, my friend Maddie, and my dog Gronk. The setting of my story, I think I'm going to put New York City. And finally, for the important events in my story, I'm gonna put flying to a candy store, and then then I think I'm gonna put stealing candy from the candy store. And then I'm gonna put eating candy as my final event. So your brainstorming should look a little like this. If you feel like you're ready, go ahead and get out your other piece of paper and start writing your narrative. Remember, don't forget your 3 main elements.
Alright, so this is my finished narrative. It's about a page long, pretty big writing, so you guys can write as much or as little as you want, more than a page, less than a page, as long as you guys get the 3 main elements of a story in. So I'm going to go ahead and read my narrative for you guys, just as an example, so feel free to listen if you're having some trouble. And then I sprouted wings. Oh my, I said. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I got my wings ready and I flew straight to the candy store. New York City is a busy place, so on my way there, I spotted my friend Maddie and my dog Gronk crossing the street. I'll get them a treat too, I said to myself. After a few more minutes of flying, I saw the candy store. I flew in and grabbed as much candy as I could. When I got out of there, I flew straight to my friend Maddie and my dog Gronk. We ate as much candy as we could. Now that we're done writing our narrative, it's time for my favorite part of this activity. We're going to be drawing a picture of what our narrative looks like in our head. So imagine your narrative is a book. Books have covers. So what's the most exciting part of your story? And I want you to draw that in a picture. So make sure you get your last piece of paper out and your colored pencils, crayons, or markers, anything to color with. Make sure your picture is colorful and awesome and really reflects your story. For this portion of the activity, I want you guys to draw what you think is the most important part of your narrative. So for me, I'm going to be drawing me flying out of the candy store. If you're having trouble deciding what you guys want to draw, think as if your narrative is a book. So what would you put on the cover of your book that relates to your story? So here's what I drew for my narrative and what I think would be the most important scene in my story. So we have me right here, sprouted wings, the candy store over here, and I'm holding bags of candy that I steal. Don't steal, please. But for the story, it's okay. Then I have down here my friend Maddie and my dog Gronk because I'm going to be taking the candy over to them. I hope you guys really enjoyed this activity. I know that it kind of goes fast for how much you have to write and have to draw, so feel free to pause the video anytime, go back, write your story, take time drawing your picture, and I hope your friends and family really enjoy your narrative. So please show them because I'm sure your works of art are fantastic. Feel free to staple your picture and your narrative together so it kind of looks like a book. Do whatever you want, it's your story. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did creating your own stories and your own picture to go along with it, and I hope you guys learned a lot about how to write a narrative.